So the truth of the matter is that some beards get thicker while others don't. Now, I've looked at the science, I've grown my own beard, and here's what I've really learned about thin beards and whether or not they get thicker. Now, there's a range of things that make a beard look thin, and if you want to know more, go check out my other video after this video called Why Your Beard Looks So Thin, and I've got heaps of advice in there about specifically why beards look thin. Comes down to density, comes down to thickness, comes down to what you're wearing as well. So that's an important video to follow on from this one. But importantly, thin beards turning to thick beards happens in some people and not others because of these factors. The first one is the biggest one is age. Now, I did a little bit of a poll and I also looked at all of the different forums online that were talking about this subject, and I found that a load of people actually don't achieve their kind of maximum beard growing capacity and density until about their mid-20s or early 30s. Some people even reported their beard was getting thicker in their 40s. So that is one big thing. Now, the thing is, a beard is a secondary effect of testosterone on the body, which means that once you've been through puberty, it is actually not until the later stages of like the final stages of puberty where you actually grow a beard. So even if you've been through puberty at say 15, 16, it isn't until 20, mid-20s that your beard has kind of just stopped developing. And that can be really frustrating, especially when you're young and you just want to grow a nice big bushy beard. The second thing is genetics. So there's no fighting your genetics. No matter how much science tries to tackle the genetic factor, it's only gone so far. And so you are already sort of like encoded with your beard growing potential from birth. And so essentially, if your family can grow good beards, great. If they can't, you're probably in the not growing a beard sort of category in terms of your genes. And so what I would do is, go check out your family. You can also get genetic tests like 24andMe, I think it's called, a genetic testing company. But essentially, your beard growing capacity may be locked in and there's nothing you can do about it, no matter how old you'll get or how much you wait. But the good thing is in the back end of this video, I'm going to show you all of the ways that you can actually make your beard appear thicker, even if it's thin. And the third thing that I think is really important that makes people sort of judge their beard and make it look thinner is their beard style choice. Now, even with long beards, they can look thin because as a beard grows out, essentially it's the sort of path that you're looking at the beard that makes it thin. So if you look here, I've got all of this beard back here, which is sort of like backing up the density here. But as you get down towards the end, you can see that there's less beard, and there's a moment where it's just the little bits of beard at the end you can see. And so if I let these get too long, my beard actually looks less continuous, less thick, less bushy, and what I find is that my beard starts to look thin. So if I want to grow a longer beard, which I'm planning on doing over the next few months, I need to grow out the hairs under here to support the length at the front so that when you look through it, it doesn't look really thin and sparse and patchy. And so at the moment, what I've been doing, if I wanted to halt my beard at this length, is I cut it back to its maximum density, i.e. I do this, and I splay out the beard, and then I cut where I essentially like the light no longer goes through. And that's been working relatively well. I've ended up with a nice thick beard because of it. But now that I want to get a little bit longer, I'm going to have to focus not only in the front, but make sure that I don't trim up this bit. Because even though I want a nice angle and sweep, I'll need to grow this bit out so that it supports the length in the front. So your style choice absolutely determines the thinness of your beard. And if you have sparsely sort of populated cheeks, or you have areas that aren't as good growth, you can actually sort of use style to hide those. So you kind of, emphasize the areas where you can grow, and then you can kind of fade into the bits, down to the skin even, of the areas where you have got not such great density. And choosing a style to match your beard is one of the biggest learnings and fun things about exploring a beard. Make sure that you understand your beard, how it grows, and then speak to a barber to say, hey, how can I maximize what my beard looks like so it doesn't look thin? You want your beard to look intentional. And so yes, do thin beards get thicker? Well, kind of, and there's a few things you can do to help support that thickness, and let's talk about those now. This video is based on an article on beardgrowingpro.com, so go check it out. I'll put a link in the description, but also Beard Growing Pro is just a fantastic place. I have got nearly 160 articles of all of the top beard questions that people are asking, so go have a browse, and I'm sure that the resources on there will help you grow a better beard, no doubt. All right, now let's have a look at the things you can do to make a thin beard look fuller and thicker. There is a joke on this YouTube channel. People in the comments always say all beard problems can be solved by waiting, and this is no different. Now, waiting does two things. First of all, it kind of allows you to see if you are able to cover up the low density hair areas with other hairs around it, because beard hairs are curly generally, and so as they grow, they curl, they twist, and they kind of cover up. Like here, I've got a bit of a weak patch, but if I let it grow, it covers it up a fair amount. And so, allowing it to grow sort of allows you to see if you're overreacting. You don't want to judge your beard too early. And what I always say is wait for at least 3 months before judging your beard. Like, make sure it gets to the point where the hairs are escaping, they're curling, they're not just laid flat against the skin. That will tell you whether or not you're really able to grow a beard. And secondly, what a kind of waiting does is it allows you to understand your beard. Like it's really hard to understand where it genuinely grows fast or thick or full. And then you can take that information to your barber to help you decide on a style that allows you to maximize what your beard looks like in terms of its thickness and its fullness. And having that knowledge is invaluable when speaking to your barber, because you'll be in the game for the long run. And I think that's important. So yes, first thing, just wait. If you're not able to cover up the problem areas by waiting, at least you'll have the knowledge to take to your barber to let them know exactly what your beard is like. Okay, here are some temporary solutions that I think would actually work pretty well. I'm going to try them in a video coming up soon. The first one is a beard pen. Now, these beard pens have like a little multi-pronged tip on the end, and you sort of like drag them through your hairs, and what it does is darkens up the light hairs and also sort of helps thicken up the hairs that you have there, and it can actually sort of like mark on the skin a little bit. Now, this is temporary because the moment you wash your beard, it will come off, and it just means that you do have to be a little bit careful if you're going out in the rain or something like that, or you're going swimming, for example. It can just wash it out. But if you want to make a thin beard look fuller for a wedding or a special occasion, or just because you want to that day, that's also fine. You can use a beard pen, and the step up from a beard pen, if you find that's not working for you, are beard fibers. Beard fibers are kind of cool. They're like these little tiny fibers that you spray, and they stick onto the hairs that are already there. So it kind of turns one hair into multiple hairs. And so the kind of popular brand is Topix hair fibers, and you can kind of lock them in with a spray as well. So they are temporary, like they will wash out eventually, but you can make them last for a full day, maybe a couple of days if you're gentle on your pillow and that sort of stuff. So you can allow your beard to full up and thicken up in certain areas using these fibers that stick onto the hairs that you've already got. So these are temporary solutions, and the permanent solutions maybe are a little bit too much for a lot of people. Okay, in the article that this video is based on, I have talked about the medical procedures, and there's really two that I think can really work for thickening up a thin beard. The first one is transplant, where they use follicular unit grafting, where they take some actual follicles from your head and they implant the whole follicle into the cheek, into the chin, into wherever you are having problems growing beard density. And I've looked at the scientific papers where cosmetic surgeons show a before and after, and I must admit, I am impressed with what they're able to achieve. Like, there's low rejection rates. It seems like the beard looks cosmetically nice. And yeah, I actually, like I said, medicine and science has come on a lot. So I know it's extreme, but maybe it's for you if growing a beard is very important. And the last way that I think that is sort of like a medical intervention, and it's not something I've had to do, but I know a lot of people online that have had success with it, is using minoxidil. Minoxidil is a topical treatment for balding men like me, but people move it from here onto their face. And the thing is that it's not actually recommended for facial use, but people are using it and people are finding that it does thicken up their hairs. And I've heard a lot of subjective evidence, like in terms of, well, I've stopped using it and it continued, or like I stopped using it and my hair no longer grew. And other commenters are saying, yeah, I had bad side effects. So, you know, you do have to take each one of these more extreme sort of approaches for thickening up your beard carefully, and you have to make sure that you understand the side effects and risks for each one, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's only a beard. So there we have it. Thin beards sometimes get thicker and they sometimes don't. Depends on your age, genetics, style that you want to choose, whether or not you've got patches. And there are some temporary and permanent fixes for making a thin beard look thicker. If you've reached, you know, your 30s and it just isn't going anywhere, and growing a beard is very important to you, there are some, you know, cosmetic procedures which allow you to grow a thick beard. So let me know in the comments what you would add to that list, and I shall see you in the next video.